Hello, my name is Elaba Awolaja, and I'm really happy to be speaking about a post that I made on social media today. So, I'm the Internal Audit Fundamentalist. I'm a certified internal auditor and a chartered certified fraud investigator of Nigeria. So, it's a pleasure having people around to listen to this um, important discussions about the idea behind what I said today. I understand that many people will saw my post and if they will feel, what is it saying? Does it mean? Does this is it saying or things like that? However, my intention is actually to drive conversations that help people to understand the fundamentals or the basics of internal auditing. So this is not a usual um, video where I have a presentation. I'm just going to speak to inspire internal auditors and GRC practitioners on the importance of the fundamentals of internal auditing based on my post on LinkedIn today. Now, this is the post. And let's start with the title of my post. I said, holding the title of an internal auditor is not enough. And it has never been enough, and it will never be enough. One of the reasons why it will never be enough is because the world is always evolving, things are changing, even everything is moving at the speed of risk. So you don't expect the things to remain the same. So in the post, I said, as an internal audit and GRC coach, I found it challenging to help coachees, such as traditional internal auditors, unlearn old internal audit practices. I am not a traditional internal auditor. I am a modern internal auditor by profession. And the reasons why I am talking about traditional internal auditing is because I understand that the traditional internal auditing is focused on limited scope of internal auditing. I'm not going to give an example now. Now, I continue in that post by saying that sometimes it seems like these traditional internal auditors understand my point of view when we discuss internal auditing. But the challenge is that they continue to do things the same way and expect change. For example, as a coach, I've been mentoring internal auditors, most especially for the certified internal auditor certification exams. And I had an experience with a candidate who is an experienced internal auditor. This candidate had failed the CIA Part 1, which is Essentials of Internal Auditing, before we met. And we discussed. During our discussions and our knowledge sharing session together, I noticed that the candidate refused to adjust what he was learning in the CI syllabus to his practice at work. And I asked, why? He said, he doesn't want to be using the new or the modern internal auditing in the current place of work. What? How do you get uh, to understand or practicalize the theories that you have been reading? Then let me continue. That is my experience. The other experience is when I tell people I'm an internal auditor and or say I'm a certified internal auditor in Nigeria. The first thing they ask me is, are you a chartered accountant? I've experienced that questions many times. Now, then I found that based on what I've seen with people, let me share another experience because I said this is not a documented video. This is just as it comes. So another experience that I had in accounting practice, if you work in professional accounting firms, everybody is always happy to be qualified. Qualified for what? To be a qualified an accountant. Qualified accountant, I mean. So There is always a joy in the accounting professional practice firms when somebody qualifies as an accountant. Now, what about being qualified as an internal auditor? That is the question that we should be asking ourselves. Fine, many people are either certified information system auditor, chartered accountant, certified public accountant, but we are all internal auditors. What about being a credible, certified, and prestigious internal auditor? Those are the questions that we should ask ourselves. And that is one of the things that I have encountered in practice. Now, I said many individuals may hold the title of internal auditor. However, only those who have, one, people who have adapted to modern internal audit practices. That is, people that understand that internal auditing is a distinct profession, although related to other profession, but it is a distinct profession and it has evolved beyond verifying accounting records or reconciling accounting records or checking financial records. It has gone beyond that. It has evolved over time and the scope is now broader. Now, another area that I mentioned is about if you have acquired internal audit competencies through specialized internal audit training. Since internal auditing is a specialized profession and since it's a distinct profession from accounting and related field, you need to understand that even if you're a professional in a related field, you still need training, specialized training regarding the professional practice of internal auditing. So if you have not done training, if you have not acquired training on, for example, let me use the CIA exam content as an example, not even being certified auditor now. Let me just use the CIA exam content as an example. If you have not been trained on the essentials of internal auditing, if you have not had specialized training on the practice of internal auditing, and if you have not had a broad training on knowledge, business knowledge for internal auditing, not just only accounting, because I know that accounting and finance is an aspect of business knowledge for internal auditing. So if you have not had that specialized training on internal auditing, I still don't agree that that's your title, internal auditor, makes you a credible and knowledgeable internal auditor. Now, another aspect that I mentioned is passing internal auditor certification exams. When other professionals passed their certifications exams, they will rejoice. But the same professionals are in internal auditing and they don't see passing exams related specifically on internal auditing as important. So if you have qualified in your background profession, if you have been certified in your background profession and you have transitioned into internal auditing, in my opinion, if you have not had training, if you have not adapted to modern internal auditing, in my opinion, and if you have not passed internal auditing exams, in my opinion, I do not agree that your title as an internal auditor really makes sense to me, because internal auditing is a specialized profession. It's a standard-based profession. In some parts of the world, it is even regulated, just as other professions are regulated. Now, another thing that I mentioned in that post was obtaining professional internal audit certifications. If you are happy to be qualified in your background profession, then qualifying as a professional internal auditor, makes sense to me. And that is the reason why I said, if you have not obtained professional internal audit certifications, there are many professional internal audit certifications. I'm not talking about only CIA. And one of the questions that I will ask listeners is, why do you think people prefer certification in information system auditing to certification in risk management assurance, or certification in internal auditing, which is a generalist certification, and other internal audit specific certifications? The last thing that I said in that post was, if you have not been consistent in enhancing your competencies, I do not agree that we can acknowledge you as a credible, reliable, and proficient internal auditor. This is a conversation that many people will disagree with me. However, it's my opinion. My intention is to drive conversations. Now, I have had a lot of experiences with CIA candidates, most especially aspiring CIAs. When they call me, what I do every day is attend to consulting services, and my major stakeholders are the aspiring CIA candidates. So they call me and I answer questions. Most times, when I ask them, what is your role as an internal auditor? It is either you hear internal control rules, or they talk about tax activities, tax related engagement or services for the company, or reconciliation, or accounting, or something related to general internal control and compliance services. One of the reasons why more people failed the certified internal auditor exam is because of the lack of training, specifically on the essentials of internal auditing, practice of internal auditing, and the broad areas of business knowledge for internal auditors, not just accounting or information technology. In practice, you will see people getting certifications in information technology. It's an aspect. Both at accounting and information technology are aspects of business knowledge for internal auditing. There are a lot of other business knowledge for internal auditors. But if we have missed the standard practice of internal auditing, if you have missed the essentials of internal auditing as it relates to the guidance, the standards, the professional guidance and standards for internal auditing, principles for internal auditing, that is not the ones that you have done in your background profession, then it is difficult for you to pass the CIA exam, because what you have been doing in practice is traditional internal auditing. Let me give you, for example, essentials of internal, some of the things in essentials of internal auditing relates to the practice according to the standards, guidance, and things like that, the code of ethics, and others. Then you talk about independence, objectivity, assurance, and advisory. You talk about governance, risk management, internal control. So you talk about fraud risk. You talk about do professional care. You talk about proficiency or competency related to internal auditing. So when you look at all of this context, it is difficult for somebody like me to acknowledge an internal auditor who has missed the basics of internal auditing, yet with numbers of experience in internal auditing. So my perspective about internal auditing has to do with my foundation. My foundation on internal auditing is basics. I started from like zero, learning one by one to become a better internal auditor. So these are the things that I think about. And I know sometimes I always have disagreements or encounter people arguing about this. But I will end this discussion with one thing. If your background, professional qualification is important to that qualification and to that profession, then learning internal auditing as a distinct profession, getting certified as an internal auditor, training yourself and improving yourself on the professional practice of internal auditing is important to internal auditors. So as your background qualifications in your background profession is important. So you cannot miss all of those essentials, practice, and the majority of business knowledge for internal auditing and still be a credible internal auditor. What is the standard of measuring your credibility? What can we use to measure your level of credibility, your proficiency, or your competency? What can we use? We cannot use that your background, profession, or professional qualification to measure your credibility. We can only use the standard of internal auditing to measure your performance, to measure your credibility, to measure your prestige, to measure your experience, to measure areas of the quality of effective internal auditors. If there's nothing like that, I cannot still acknowledge you as a credible internal auditor. So as some, I will not claim to be a credible professional in another profession that have not gone through detailed training about. So that is my perspective. And if people are asking me, when I tell them I'm a certified internal auditor or I'm an internal auditor, it tells us that generally people believe that before you can become an internal auditor, you must be from a certain profession, which is incorrect. And look at job openings on LinkedIn, on papers, newspapers. What do you find? The requirements that are not internal auditing related are much more. So we cannot measure your effectiveness using the standards of other profession. Thank you very much. And I'm going to conclude by saying again, holding the title of internal auditor is not enough until you have adapted to modern internal audit practice. You have acquired internal audit competencies through specialized internal audit training. You have passed internal auditor certification exams. You have obtained professional qualifications or certifications related to internal auditing, specifically internal auditing, in my opinion. And if you have continuously improved your competencies by learning and changing to get things done better or to add value and improve your organizations. Thank you very much. This is my submission, and I think I spoke for the first time based on inspiration. I didn't write anything down apart from my post, so I found it comfortable for me to speak without having presentation, things like that. And I think I speak better in my opinion, but you can add to this discussion. This video recording is on YouTube. I want you to add your comments. Please subscribe, to this YouTube channels so that we can have this kind of conversations. Many people run from this kind of conversations. I have run from it for years. Now I have come to discuss the fundamental aspect of internal auditing that should make us better. Thank you very much. Do have a wonderful day. Bye.